Hi Bob, thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you aboard. Let's get going, shall we? Big news this week. The United States has a new president, with Joe Biden being inaugurated on the 20th. Meanwhile, macroeconomic data was in the background. Our data release is set to return to the stage during the next week.
Yeah, it's a busy week ahead on the economic calendar. For the US dollar, we've got consumer confidence figures that gets things going on Tuesday. Then focus shifts to core durable goods and durable goods orders. And then on Thursday, we've got weekly jobless claims and fourth quarter GDP numbers out of the US. And wrapping things up in the week, on Friday are inflation figures and personal spending. So it's obviously expect fourth quarter GDP and the weekly jobless claims figures alongside consumer confidence to have the key influences on the dollar in the week. Obviously, while the stats are key, it's the FOMC that's in action on Wednesday night. Are they going to stand pat? Are they going to provide the promise of more support? All that remains to be seen. I think they'll be expecting plenty of stimulus from the US government, so they may be able to stand pat for now and then sit back to wait and see what Biden can actually deliver, in the weeks ahead. For the euro, it's also a busy week. We've got business and consumer confidence figures from Germany. We've got fourth quarter GDP numbers out of France, Germany and Spain. And we've got unemployment figures from Germany and consumer spending figures from France at the end of the week. So expect confidence figures and fourth quarter GDP numbers to be the key drivers for the euro. For the pound, it's quite a week. Claimant counts and unemployment figures early in the week, those will be the key drivers. Obviously away from the economic calendar, COVID-19 vaccination rates and new infection rates will be key areas of focus.
Let's move on to commodity currencies now. What's scheduled for Canada, Australia and New Zealand, Bob?
For the commodity currencies, there's quite a week ahead. On the economic data front, the Aussie dollar, we've got business confidence and fourth quarter inflation figures in focus. We've got consumer prices and wholesale in focus, so expect plenty of influence there. For the loonie, we've got RMPI and GDP numbers. So it's a quieter week following last week's BOC monetary policy decision and forward guidance. How much influence? Much will depend upon COVID-19 and market risk sentiment in the week. For the Kiwi dollar trade figures for December, that will garner some interest. So expect, a quieter week on the data front to leave the commodity currencies in the hand of market risk sentiment and COVID-19 numbers throughout the week.
Moving over to the Asian giants, Bob, what can we expect out of China and Japan?
For the Chinese yuan, quiet week, no economic data to consider. That leaves the yuan and market risk sentiment in the hands of US politics and COVID-19. Obviously, we heard of spikes of new COVID-19 cases in China joining the rest of the world, so much will depend on that. That sentiment towards the Chinese economic outlook must remain positive to support riskier assets. For the Japanese yen, we've got inflation figures, retail sales figures to consider, and prelim industrial production numbers. Unlikely to have a material impact on the Japanese yen, however, with market risk sentiment the key driver near term. Obviously, the dollar is the main go-to currency, but the yen has continued to find support amidst the COVID-19 pandemic.
Finishing up as usual with geopolitics, is the US presidential election story over, and is there anything else we should be looking out for?
Yeah, obviously Biden's won the election, inaugurated on the 20th, and now it's really about delivering on policy. Markets are pretty gung-ho in terms of Biden having a free rein in terms of stimulus package sizes and so forth. So we might see a pullback there. If there's any disappointment, we might see some of that trimmed, obviously by both houses. So that would be an area to focus on. The other area of focus is foreign policy. We expect certain countries to begin pushing their boundaries to test Biden early on. These are the likes of Iran and North Korea and so on. And then you've got China and obviously existing trade tariffs and the phase one agreement. You've got Russia, and obviously generally the Middle East as well. So there's plenty to look out for as the geopolitical landscape shifts once more. So let's see how that pans out. But that's one area to focus on, in terms of stability near term.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Bob. Plenty for us to get our teeth stuck into. We look forward to speaking to you again very soon indeed. Thank you everyone for watching. This was The Week Ahead. We'll see you again next week. Until then, head over to Dukascopy TV's social media platforms to keep up to date with everything affecting the markets. Until next time, goodbye.